Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Eternal Present YouTube channel. This is Sanni Pakkanen, and I'm co-creating here with Melinda Molnar. And this one is going to be part 2, extension for the part 1 that was the previous YouTube podcast that was about manifestation, true manifestation, as well as the truth about timeline hopping, etc. It was a really interesting one. And the key point that I want to shine more light to today is when we spoke of there's 2 types of manifestation. There's self-centered manifestation, which is based on the world of the separate self and the world of time, where anything that has separated from truth and from God, right? Anything that is a version of truth or distortion or perversion even from the pure and the real and the true. And then there is God-centered, which is based on that real and true and the pure, right? And it's so essential as we are going into this manifestation work that we know where we belong within this and where do we source from, and also who do we serve. And I say who because it is important in this time that we're living here on earth to begin to understand God also as a person, okay? And I'm not referring to any religious images. There's so much distortion that has happened and abuse that has happened through religions, man-made dogma and doctrine, etc. But a person in a sense that there is a relationship to truth, right? There is a relationship to truth. It is like the great I am who becomes aware of him or herself, right? God becomes aware of own image, God's own image. And so there is a relationship and there's the ability to experience, give, and receive love, right? And this goes even beyond duality. Also, like getting a duality is that there is a separation, right? That there is one and there's two, and these two together can communicate, right? This is almost like the very seed or the origin of duality, but while duality is still in oneness, one that the face looking into the face, the infinity looking into infinity is still one unit, but aware of itself, right? And I don't like to even say it because I'm not referring to some energy or just frequency. I'm speaking to a person, a creation force and source, a person of God, right? Who takes so many different forms through us, through our spirits, as well as through, say, teachers and through events and experiences in our lives, even through nature, right? Through nature, the earth, all of the animals, all of it, right? And why this is so important to have this intimate relationship is that, well, I actually just said that we want intimate relationship, right? We want intimate relationship because if there is no relationship, then you don't have a reference point, right? You don't have a reference point of where you are creating and co-creating from, where you are manifesting, where you are embodying and actualizing life from. And it can get pretty overwhelming if there is no reference point, meaning that if you don't have an anchor in truth, if you don't have anchor in presence, you would be all over the place. And that part of the separate self that has fallen from that union and the knowing and the grace, really, and has started to look for that peace and abundance and love from all over the place, or trying to create that love on its own, it gets really overwhelming. It gets tiring. And it becomes very, like, it can work for a while. You can say, summon certain mountains, but once you are on that mountain and you're still lacking love, it's like, well, I already walked the highest mountain. Where else can I go? Where else can I find this love from? It's always going to be like that if we are manifesting from that self-centered space. And that's why the deeper intimacy and revelation, what is your relationship to the person of God within you, is the most important. And again, a lot of religions are understanding person of God outside of self. There's this higher power who's like judging, but we are speaking of the person of God inside, the one that you are extension from, the living light, the living truth that is living in you, not dead. It's not somewhere. It's right here, living in your heartbeat, living in your spirit, living in your word, right? Living in your experience. And so the other side of that, thinking of God being outside of self, is the complete opposite of the non-dual teachings, which is like just dissolving into nothingness or becoming everything and nothing at the same time, like I am no one, right? That's a powerful experience to have, but it's not the full picture. It's not the full picture. Because when there is actually that power of relationship and what we can receive from that relationship with the person of truth within us, why would we want to dissolve that into nothingness and just say, experience only the emptiness, right? And I'm not saying like there are non-dual teachings that are also including the being somebody, and it's kind of the full circle. So I'm not like insulting this, but in general, because I went deep into the non-dual teachings, right? And it's so much about emptying and the nothingness and dissolving into nobody, like not having the separate self. But what if like I'm pointing like here is one and here is the other. What if there is that way in the middle of having a separate self, but a separate self that is in relationship, in union, in co-creationship with oneness and with truth. So this is quite a deep, I already started, like I didn't even give any space for Melinda to say hi. So that's me today. Forgive me.
Thank you. That was beautiful. And hi, hello everybody. By the way, yes. Oh my gosh, a few times just fully touched my heart. And I'm even gonna say that those of you who are listening, if it calls to you to listen again, because there's so much information in what you just said. And yes, so some of the questions, I guess, to pick this apart so we can have more detailed information about this beautiful coagulated concept or idea or knowings, is bringing it from last time, co-creating from or creating from your personal desires or from the word, the teachings, the guidance of God from a non-religious aspect. Walking that higher ground, coming to that space where you have that union, that intimate relationship with God, and then asking, how do I then carry out what I am here to do? What is my purpose here? So this is where I love how you did that, right? Like here, but in between, because then it becomes a conscious co-creation. We're not just swimming in the nothing, but we are here to do something. We are here to do something important. We're ultimately co-creating as we're evolving. And right now, us having enough knowledge of this, that we are one intimate creators with the creator, creation of the creator, we have at our hand the gift, the opportunity to shape this world and our experiences into that heaven on earth. Each of us who are standing in this intimate relationship receives the message, the specific message that is meant out for them to carry out. So how would one know?
Yes.
How would one get there? How would one know that what they are desiring, it is not their personal desire to manifest such and such, but it is aligned?
Yeah.
How do they come up to that platform?
Yes. So this is a beautiful question, and I want to refer back to a little bit to that non-dual teachings that I've witnessed, that a lot of the people, and what happens there is that when we, because where it really leads into like recognizing that I am God, right? In that, not the non-dualistic, which is right here, and I've witnessed a lot of people being led into this. It's just the other side of the coin of the self-centered manifestation, because it leads people into a lot of spiritual bypassing, and kind of like, oh, I can do whatever. I'm infinite being, I'm infinitely abundant, and yes, in God we are. But if that spiritual ego gets hold of that and begins to call itself a God, that is already directing us again to that very same space that created the separation from God in the first place. Right? Because there is no true revelation of the, say, the hierarchy, what happens if there is only truth, like the most, like, say, think about a frequency of truth that is just what it is, or frequency of unfailing love. And there has to be that, say, the source and, say, the form of that unfailing love in the spirit, where all of that love can come from. Just like, say, I need to have a body to speak through these lips, the same way that there's this distribution that happens. And now if there is no respect or honor of where that comes from, it opens the door for self-centered pride and distorted ego that is power hungry, right? And so that is a dangerous way to be. And I am not by any means saying that everybody who is religious or anybody who is non-dualistic or anybody is this and that. This is just simply pointing, these are observations that I've noticed, that there is, those experiences are widely present in these fields, right? So now the most important thing is to recognize that what's the golden middle way here, understanding ourselves as an extension from that source of unfailing love or truth, but without going ahead and claiming that I am the God Most High who can create all universes, right? Which has led into so much power abuse here on the earth. But knowing, and this is the true humility in the heart, I've spoken about this before, the right heart posture, right? And people don't realize that when we get that heart posture right, we can have it all. Many people are not going there because they think that they give their power away if they ever would admit that there's the hierarchy, they are in a hierarchy of creation, that there is this higher power or the source or the true parent of where we come from, right? And it's coming from the space of insecurity. It's actually quite innocent, of like, I'm insecure if I am kneeling down in front of truth. But now, how do we know? Is, when you encounter God, when you encounter eternal truth. I have a direct testimony of encountering Christ more than once, and in that presence, and I'm speaking of true Christ, not any religious image, true Christ. And when this kind of encounter happens, there is not a single thing in my heart that can see otherwise, that would somehow doubt. There is not a single space in me that would be doubting that what I'm seeing, what I'm in touch with right now, would be anything else than the truth and the living light, right? And that has to be that direct encounter, direct revelation. Nobody can actually, because if somebody's telling you about that, that's not actually the true connection, right? Somebody can talk to you about God and not understanding of the power, not having a direct experience of the power. We can witness, oh, that moved something in my system. I would like that encounter as well. I would like to be connected to truth or God that way as well, so that I know the unfailing love, so that no matter what happens, I'm not going to be stumbling down. And this is where you start operating as an extension of that. Okay. And there's a maturation process that happens. So it's not just something that, oh, we just awaken and then that's it. When we awaken, that's just the initial step. Then we also want to be filled with the spirit of truth that way. And then we become that, like God's divine mind is starting to move in us, and we start moving with that. It becomes this fine-tuned understanding in the heart when we just continue to show up, when we continue in our hearts to say, meditate, I want to know the absolute truth. I want to know the Spirit of God. I want to know how this experience is, and I just want that, right? And so, for example, one of the beautiful prayers is that I don't want it if you're not in it, truth. God, I don't want this if you're not in it. I just want you. And because I know that that's the most perfect manifestation of anything that I could ever do here, or anybody could do here on the planet, right? And again, this goes beyond, it's so easy for the mind to start thinking about God in like these boxes of dogma and all of that, that we do need to graduate beyond that. We actually do need to go beyond that. And any true God realized individuals on planet have been pointing just to that, right? So here we are pointing to that direction as well. And now what is an important piece, so this is the part 2 for, like, that's the first revelation, is that knowing where we are, knowing that intimate relationship and where we are actually creating life from, when we are speaking, when we are hugging, when we are loving people. And the second one is to claim what has already been given to you. Okay. And we can't obviously claim something if we don't know that it's been given to us. So you have to first know that it's been given to you, right? Say eternal peace or forgiveness. Well, why do you still continue to carry the stuff from the past if what has been already given to you is true, unfailing forgiveness in this moment, so that you can actually walk free, and so that you can actually become the manifestation of that, the unique blueprint that you came here to be and carry the mission that you came here to carry for other people and for yourself and for your family, for the new earth to be birthed, right? There's so many resources that have been given. And here there's so many people who are praying, or some people are complaining, other people are praying and pleading, like crying out, like, give me this, bless me with this, give me. And here are these things that have already been given to us that is simply available in that intimate relationship with God. And that's where the claiming comes into picture. It's really in the process of manifestation, we need to know where we are walking. Right? We need to know what has been given, what is blessing our feet in every step, what is blessing our breath, every breath, that is filling our words when we speak. If we don't claim that, we are out in the wild, wild west. Because we quite literally are walking with this, we're like this walking treasure that is just completely exposed and leaking it all out, just because we don't know what we are carrying.
This beautifully brings in this point. Like, if you're just out open in the dissolving, you don't know. In that intimacy, you get to know what has already been given. You get to claim it. You stand in it. You're like, oh, I have this at my disposal at any moment. I have peace. I have presence. I have the ultimate, most pristine love, that simply just because I'm here. And then when you take those to yourself, when you become aware, right, what you put your focus on, your attention on, then it becomes real. Then you create the experience of it. So it's almost like you're creating, well, in my new course, Embody Your Trust, it's these are the parts that we bring in to put all these into your self-identity, so that in every breath, in every moment, waking moment of your knowing of yourself, those are your tools. Those are just who you are, simply built in inside you. Because when you take steps from there, you are guided and you are carrying all that light with you as one. So that treasure that you are, you're fully aware of that treasure. So where you walk, you spread your light, you give the gift of that treasure. And you also then like, oh, look, there is something that if I just touch, it just intensifies my treasure. It's like you walking around in this beautiful world of just play and love, immense love, right? And the manifestations of love from not a distorted place.
Yes. I would love to actually hear, I'm going to make a note here. What I want to respond to that. But before we go there, would you like to just say a few more words about the course that is coming in that you mentioned?
Yes.
Yeah.
So Embody Your Truth. This is a course that has been, or the information that has been coming to me for over 6 months. And I have been embodying it. My calling here is to guide embodiment, to share with you how to pull all this information into your body so that we restructure ourselves into this new being of I am this and this and this and this naturally, just because. So we take all our information from the one source. We stand in that channel of the truth. So you know where you're sourcing from at all times. And when you feel that in your body, not just the mental knowing, but actually internally in your body, when you integrate those frequencies, then we create this new base of self-identity, this new upgraded version of human, the new human that is ready and here to create the new earth. So we are now the architects of the new earth as our new bodies, new integrated wisdom that is straight from the one source.
Mm-hmm.
That is my course. Oh, it's a 3-month program. Yes, that's right. It's a 3-month program. It's going to be weekly classes and also daily meditation practices to really integrate it into all of you. And when you do, it simply will, well, simply you'll have to walk through, but squeeze out the parts that are not true. Light will be shown on it, and we get to restructure all the parts that are not true, that are not in alignment with the way, with that one truth.
Yes, this is amazing. So this kind of consistency, so 3 months, that kind of length is really good for those who are really, really serious about creating the foundation. If you don't have a solid foundation, and when you go to the higher spaces, you're gonna go crumbling down. The foundation is so important. Too many people rush into the next level because we want to get the experience, because we're after the experience, because we're after those highs and high vibe and whatever. But how many times it's sad to look at people going to those spaces without the solid foundation. It's actually even more destructive. So this kind of course it's so good. And both Melinda and I, we are living testimonies. When we started doing this kind of frequency level work, it was daily, weekly, consistent, month to month to month. And it's really building up. And this is part of the maturation of the spirit as well. And it helps you to create that atmosphere of meeting divine, meeting the spirit of God in that space. Because if you don't have the foundation for the spaceship, so to say, to land, and I'm not speaking of any ET stuff here, but like as a ship, as a metaphor, if there's no space for the ship to land, like how can that ever happen? How can you ever even go to where you want to go? So stop rushing ahead of yourself and really get your ducks in order in the foundation. That is the number one, which is so much based on eternal presence, learning to actually be present, learning to really, 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 really deeply live the presence and live love. Like actually actualize those teachings, those deeper teachings, and not just be aware of them or not just speak about them or dream about them, to really start living them from day to day, the moment. And there's so much that is on the human level that is really starting to release its hold off of you when you start making this shift from the inside out, and it just starts falling out. So all of that stuff that has been holding you back is just starting to release its control over you, so to say. So yeah, thank you for sharing. We'll put the link on the under the comments there or in the description. Yeah.
And I wanted to add, interesting you bring the ship. The mastermind has already come into my field and forming, and it felt like a ship coming down. We are being held already in this container that is helped from higher realms. Ooh, I get the chills just even talking about it, because we are being guided, guys, and it is like stepping into a ship, and we're elevating into higher grounds where everybody who is in this container is called to do this. And I am just so excited to in this physical realm to already started. You know, it's a little bit slower here, it feels, but if this speaks to you, if you feel that truth kind of tingling your heart, there's information here for you, because we are wandering into those higher frequency platforms. We are getting to know more of the unseen and claiming it as this is also available to us. This is also a wonderful resource that we can implement into this new world.
Yes, absolutely. Because there is a reason why you're walking here on this planet right now. Some of us are focusing on some, say, personal healing. So say, for example, there are individuals who are in the family lineage and you're putting your foot down like, no, thank you. None of this disease, none of these emotional abuse patterns or physical abuse, whatever it is, lack, scarcity, it's not going to go forward from me. So some of us are here like this, like rock, like I'm not letting any of that to go past me to my children or to anybody else, even like my siblings' children. It doesn't even matter, because the work that you do goes beyond the laws of this physical world, right? So this is again like this kind of frequency level work happens in the spirit and the soul levels. And so some of us are here in that deep personal healing. There is others, so for example, who I'm really directly working with, those who are here for other people, right? I had an experience when I was 12 years old when a presence of God took over my being. So I was just like completely upright suddenly in the living room next to our couch. And in that moment, I was shown what was seated in me. Here I'm a little child, 12-year-old, right? I didn't have words. I literally couldn't describe what I'm about to do, but I knew the grandness of it. I knew the grandness that was beyond my human self. Even as a little child, I understood that this came from beyond my capacity as a human is. This is from God. And so, and I was even shown some very specific things about the work that now they all have come to pass. I was even telling about specific countries that I knew already at 12 years old that I'm going to be moving out of Finland and specific countries. So this is God's mind pulling people. It's like unblocking people from what people call matrix, right? Then the illusion of the separation and helping to lift on that higher ground. The higher ground is another direct experience that I had. I was physically lifted into the higher ground. We're not just flying to some higher space, but the entire ground is lifting when we are seeking and when we are finding God. Because it's like the living light is like this magnet that is helping to pull us closer in the walk into closer proximity with truth, with the living truth. right? And so that's the space where we begin to walk in different world. You may be walking on the same street when somebody else is walking all possessed by all kinds of distortions, and here you are walking free, and not only for yourself, but so that you can bring in the atmosphere, so that you can be that candle on that light, so that you can bring in the hope for people. You can be the hand of divine. Here, take this. I know the way. I've been shown. I was born to do this. Take my hand. I lift you. Let's go together. You're not alone here. And now all of this stuff that have been bucking these people down, that is not them. It's not them. It's the distortions that have to feed off of something, because they are not from eternal life. They don't have the life of their own. So they are latching on the people's thoughts, emotions, traumas, bodies, cancer. All of that is coming from that space. And now it can happen really fast, that detachment from that world of separation and starting to walk on that higher ground. That happens fast. The integration of it takes time, right? In the creation of it takes time. That's why there's not enough books and information about when we have awakenings, perhaps one big one or smaller ones. I pray that you would get a lot of small ones, because one big one is crazy. It can destroy your life, and it will, so that you can be built again. So if you're praying for deeper awakenings, pray for lots of small ones. If there's any saying to that, that's my advice. But really having lots of small integrated awakenings, and as this is where the maturation happens, and this is where we become more and more refined and more established, walking on that higher ground. Okay, not just going there in meditation, not just only being there when you feel good, walking there all the time. This is a big thing. So many people get confused when they feel bad or sad or grieving, or they've experienced mental confusion. They think that they've fallen out of God's presence, but this is the greatest delusion there is. This is that delusion that is accessing the weak points in our system. We need to know in our hearts, we need to know in our spirits that we are always walking the higher ground once we have the revelation of it, right? Once we have the revelation of it, we are walking the higher ground, and you know that even if you don't feel good, or even if it's not directly manifesting in front of your eyes in this moment, you know that you are tapping into the truth. And this is where you source your life force from. Right? This is where life is moving through you. And again, this is most important thing to claim, talking about claiming certain things in our lives. It's the most important thing to claim, is to, again, know that intimacy, because when you know that intimacy and you know that you're taken care of deep beyond this, the world of separation, you are starting to quite literally bring that authority into your field. And then that knowing is growing and growing. The conviction in the heart is growing and growing and growing. And here you are, a walking, living light. You're walking eternal truth here, working on the behalf of divine, for those who are looking for divine, those who need that divine love and healing, those who never experienced it, and those who are thirsty for it, those whose souls are lost, right? And so you are creating this extremely strong atmosphere, not just environment, but atmosphere that you bring with yourself. And that can change entire seasons. That can change entire seasons in your life. Just like that. So this is the power, and I really want people to understand what is on the table here. And the contradiction that here is that so many people think that we need to somehow claim it from, like, oh, I am that, I am powerful, I'm worthy, I'm all of this. But this is the paradox, is that we actually need to give all of that away in order to access that. We need to understand, and this is again coming to that space of humility, understand that it's not really you who's doing this. Go beyond yourself. Where do you even come from? Then tap into that. This is the greatest honor, to tap into that space, to be blessed from the true spirit of God that way. Right? It's not giving your power away, it's giving your distorted power away. But you're actually gaining a lot greater power. a lot greater authority that goes beyond all of the principalities and all of the laws of this world. But you're still in here, you're still in this world, you're still embodiment, you're still your unique self. But this is where your true gifts are actually coming online, those that have been seated in you. And so I wanted to bring this example up. I had a client, and I celebrate this client so deeply because this actually brought this deeper aspect that needs to be spoken about. And this client is going through something extremely difficult right now. They gave their life to God fully and completely, and their life is quite literally falling apart in every possible way. Relationships, this is not to say that this happens to everybody this way, but for this specific person, this was the way for it to happen, because there was so much of that self-centered leading that was still in place even after awakening. Okay. And so those deeper strongholds needed to start releasing. And this person said to me that I find it difficult to connect to this new form of frequency work that you offer, that I wish that you would still offer what you offered a year ago. And this was coming from a really sweet, innocent space of transparency. Like, this was authentically this person's experience. And now what is interesting is that actually the mechanics and everything is exactly the same than a year ago. How I was working in the sessions, etc. There's been just so much upgrade and deepening happening. It's still the same frequency work, but it's just becoming so much more efficient. And this was not this client who was actually speaking. It was not their spirit. It was that identity that was latched onto, that was built around that distorted self-image, that was speaking that I wish that we could go back to the old, because I felt comfortable in the old. And there was resistance for change. This part of the soul did not want to grow out of itself. It didn't want to upgrade. It wanted to stay where it was. And this is one of the biggest things that is plaguing people's mental fields, is that resistance to change. I don't want it. I don't like what I'm hearing. I'm not getting it in this moment. It must not be for me. Turn away from truth and walk away, right? And this client is persistent one. And absolutely, this client is going to go all the way. I've already seen this for this person. So this is an incredible example of noticing who was speaking, because this person was in a deep death process, and that which was dying was trying to hold on. I wish that this would be still the old way, because that was comfortable for me. That was where I felt something, right? And now I was responding in that moment. This is the message to everyone, that pretty much every true mentor that I've had who actually took me somewhere, they told me things that I did not like. They told me things that I didn't want to hear at the time. I was resisting it. It's like, I don't like that. That doesn't resonate with me. But who was speaking? The separate self was speaking. I thank God that those teachings that came to me and my spirit got them, because something in me still continued even when there was resistance. And now that I look at, if I had it my way, I wouldn't be where I am today. I thank every single one of those uncomfortable moments when I heard what I didn't want to hear, because it helped me to pull out of the dream of separation into something uncomfortable, into something unknown and mysterious. Everywhere where there is God that is lifting you up, it's going to be unknown to you. The same way, like when people didn't know how to fly yet, they say that it's impossible for humans to fly. And then a month later, airplane was invented. Here are people flying, right? So nothing is actually impossible. This is coming from the higher planes. Everything that comes from the higher place is going to feel unknown. It's going to be like, oh, I don't know about this. It's going to feel all kinds of things for the old self, because it is pushing you out of your comfort zone so that you can go to the next phase of your life, so that you can grow out of the old habits and ways that have been in your family lineage for eons, for thousands of years, in your soul story for thousands of lifetimes. Do you still want to be there, or do you actually want to grow? This is where God comes and helps to lift into spaces where this separate self doesn't want to go, until that, say, the separation is ceasing to have its grip, and we have the revelation of the union, we have the reborn trust to God's guidance, the Spirit of Truth's guidance inside of us, because we know from our own experience that, okay, last time when I tried to resist, but I still went for it, I found that I was so much more successful than I ever could be, because it blasted my mind open. It blasted my heart open. It brought all these opportunities. I could never be here if I didn't actually move through this resistance. So this builds the trust. This builds the trust. So start noticing those times in your life when that has happened. Pay attention, because this is God speaking to you through your own spirit, through your own intuition, and through your own heart. Pay attention, really pay attention, because we're coming into a time when that is becoming more and more relevant and important, right? You're being directed. It's like your clay that is being shaped right now into the actual pure potential form and the beautiful form that you were here to be. Yeah. So what is really important in that, important to notice that, say, in this work, we don't want to be feeding. So anybody here who's also facilitating healing spaces, pay attention. You don't want to be feeding other people's distortions. You don't want to be telling them what they want to hear from the space of separation. Okay. For those especially who are carrying the people-pleasing pattern, my prayer for you is to be free from it right now when you're listening. Be free from that people-pleasing pattern where you know the truth and what to say, but you're actually bending your words to say what they want to hear. Well, that's not serving God. That's not serving truth. That's not serving their spirit. Their spirit want to actually hear what you have to say, so that their soul level identities can get uncomfortable and grow out of that comfort zone, right? So being really careful. And I had to really train on this, because so many times from sheer love, I want to comfort people. But if people come for change, there has to be change, and the change has to mean growth, right? And we can do that from love, with love, okay? From love and with love, and we must do it from love and with love. Otherwise, it's not going to even work. But noticing where we have kind of tried to fall into a certain way of speaking just to make them feel better, right? There is more empowered way available if you follow the Spirit of Truth inside.
I'll insert something in here.
Yeah. Just a second. Actually, I'm just looking because I wrote something down here that was important. Okay. Yeah, I'll come back to that. Perfect. Yeah, go ahead.
That part where that separate self is talking and is comfortable, like what you said with that person, that is the point that my course is kind of like training, internal training of your resilience, so that when you are at that point, you actually are excited for the new, because by then you have the trust and you know this is going to push me. I am so excited to go beyond, and I have the tools how to navigate this challenge that happens as this old self falls off. Because one, the old self falls off, so you find yourself into a new environment, and also you're being pulled up. So for myself, the way I feel is there's actually a pressure sensation. This can show differently in people's bodies, but your identity of self as the emanation of that one source is so stable now in the knowing of that which you are, is that it's looking for that new and fully want to, in curiosity, take that next step. Because when we're walking that way, it's very different than, oh, I don't want to, oh my gosh, it hurts left and right and whatnot. We're just like flowing with it. I remember the spaces that I used to be when it was like that. So again, this is walking now in our strength. And there was one thing that I wrote down here a second ago, walking in that. Let me see if I can see that. Can handle it. Strong base, new level trust.
So precious.
This is what comes. Oh, yes. Twice now during this call, I it wanted to come out, so I'm going to share it. A lot of the healing communities, they emphasize on having a provable or a tangible proof that you're walking in the right space. And in this world, many times the tangible proof is I am making more money. I am more successful. All of a sudden, I found a great relationship. So it is something that's proving on something that's visible. And what I see in so many is they shoot out to reach that, but they don't have the base to hold it. And you touched on this earlier, then they crumble, and they crumble under a much heavier weight. So this is not a joke. This is not a little, meditation game we play and hey, let's just calm down. We are training ourselves. We are turning into the best version of ourselves.
Absolutely. That is a really well said. Like now you're crumbling, but crumbling with heavy weight. That's been happening so much. Yeah. And yeah, this is full on Jedi training. Full on Jedi training. It's not for those who are here for just the self-centered reasons. It is for people who are actually here to really serve the eternal purpose, and those really desire to be all the things, be overflowing and healthy and thriving, so that we can really serve the creation of the new earth that is happening here. And so it's absolutely no joke. And something that you mentioned briefly there, which is really important, it's something similar to like giving birth. And I haven't given birth myself, but I know this process also spiritually. Giving birth, and anybody who has given a birth to physical child, you would know firsthand in your physical body that there is, giving the deliverance for the child, and there is this where the contractions are really strong, coming really fast. There's no time to breathe, there's no rest, and this is where it feels like I need to get out of this situation, but no woman would go back. There is no way going back. Like just suck the baby back in and just pretend that nothing is going to happen, right? Because you're already in it. You're already in the birthing process. And the moment that the child is out, the overwhelming joy and that pure presence takes over. And it's absolutely every moment worth it, right? I mean, Melinda, you have children. So
I have two. Yes. And I remember that process. Like, I don't want to do this anymore. Wait, there's no way out.
Exactly.
Gotta go through.
And that's happening so many times in the spiritual realms and in the soul level for us. Like when we are moving through something, it gets really intense. But when you look, and this is what I have a whole course about, remembering your future, which is about this, what Melinda also referred to, when we look to what's about to happen, the mother knows that the child is coming out. The mother can already, like, that may be the only threat that is keeping this mother still going, is because they know that in the moment they're going to be holding this child. So this is looking into a future. You have a capacity to expand your consciousness from the present moment. You're absolutely present right here with what's going on, but you're expanding to see what God has seeded in you, and you're looking at that. This is what I'm referring back to, what I had 12 years old when I had the vision. I'm still going back to it, if not every day, almost every day, because that was the child that was shown to me. This is what you're going to be holding. And so I'm going back when it looks like, well, I don't really know how this is at all going to happen. Like, I don't know, like my personal self don't know, because that's big. What was shown, it's big in every way. And here we are, because I keep going back to that, right? I keep going back to knowing that that has been seeded in me, that has already been given to me by the Most High. I cannot fail. I just need to get out of the way for the Most High to manifest through me. And so God has delivered. There's so many miracles that has already happened that I have no idea. I literally could not create it, right? And this is just the beginning. And I know this is for everybody. When I meet people, I see what's being put in you. I see the child that you're about to hold, whether you're a man or woman, it doesn't matter. But there's a spiritual gift that has been, and the purpose that has been built in you, put in you. And if you get in touch with that, which happens in eternal presence and intimacy with God in you, within you, then you start actually source from that. And whatever you're going through right now, you know that this is happening so that I can be where I need to be, what has been put in. So when this relationship crumbles down, because it's clearly it was toxic. This marriage that I thought that was my building block has been toxic, and I've been just avoiding the divorce. You know that it's crumbling down because there's actually a better person for you. There's a better situation for you, so that you can fulfill that which has been put inside of you, right? And every single one of us has that purpose because we are unique blueprints. Having a unique blueprint means that you are a unique creature with all the gifts that you've been given to you and that take that unique form through you here on this planet. You have a purpose. This new earth that is birthing this world would not be the same place without you in it with those gifts. And there's nobody else who's doing it exactly like you do. So better make it count. And how to make it count is to get out of the way in those separate, distorted ways that we think that this is supposed to happen, and finally turn in toward the truth that is going to be leading from within. It's not disempowering. I tell you, it's the opposite of disempowering. It is the actual empowerment.
What I want to add to that is how my gifts come out. I don't, a lot of people, they already have a gift, a knowing, a tangible something to show, and then they say, this is how I did it. Mine is to let people see as it's happening. So just like what you said, step out of the way. Why has it been in me for months, this program? I finally did that last stepping out of the way. And immediately it's like, come see now, because you are still seeing it. This is the resonance of it. Those of you who are afraid, come feel it, because I'm literally just one step ahead of you in this, what it feels when you step out of the way and you allow everything that you've been building up. I do have, yes, the bases. I've worked hard on that strengthening, but when you step out, it's a what is it called when a whole bunch of water comes? That it's a flood of that eternal love and purpose and sparkliness and everything with it, as this beautiful creation emerges.
Yes, a flood is a great word. It's a flood. It truly is. Things that come from God it's flood in everywhere. Your cups are running over. This is one of the eternal promises, okay? And this is our birthright to claim when we do have a revelation of the connection and intimacy, and not just like, oh, I'm still looking, I still haven't found. Well, begin to look on the inside in this moment that has already been given to you. Okay, it's not something that you need to be asking for to be added to you, because it's already in you. And then once you discover that space, all the other things will be added in you, right? All the other things, what you need, resources, relationships, contacts, you name it. It's all added, and it's being led from that true space this time. So yeah, this is deep. This is very deep. And I can see that there's a lot of people who are going to listen to this who are really in the right place to receive this message beyond the words, because there's a transmission. There's a spiritual transmission that is coming through. And what these transmissions help to do, it helps to activate, it helps to create atmosphere, it helps to prepare, it helps to create that foundation, it helps you to discover spaces where you can walk in closer proximity with the living truth, right? So make it your first prayer. We're wrapping up here. Make it your first prayer, really, to be thankful for divine truth and God having had your back in all the different situations. Somehow you're still here and you're still breathing after everything that you've experienced. And that gratitude is immediately shifting the inner atmosphere. You're acknowledging and you're recognizing that you have that power inside of you that's already been given. And then desiring with your whole heart the deeper intimacy, the deeper experience, the deeper embodiment of that. Right? And then whatever way that happens, it's perfect. Right? Don't limit it with, oh, I want to hear this voice or something like that. That can actually be really distorting. Just simply the desire to know truth even better. That is still my everyday prayer, is to know God better. I actually want to know you even more intimately in me, because I'm aware that it's God's spirit who's speaking to my spirit, whose extension I am. And when I desire that, when ask and you shall receive, when I ask for that, this is really starting to open up and starting to lead a whole different life on the higher ground.
Beautiful. I don't have anything more to add at this time, other than I am right there with you and saying the same things. Just ask and you shall receive. It is true. And ask in that from that humbled space. Gratitude. I actually, yeah, this is a good one. There are times when I am in an environment where, let's say, the air isn't clean, or when I get tired and I actually feel my resonance falling. And I remember, because now it's embodied, like, whoa, you're out of place, come back. And gratitude, that is the first frequency I look for inside me, because it's in me, and then I like touch it so that it can expand, because then ultimately that raises me to the next level. And it has happened, even though I've done this thousands of times, that when you start to fall away from that truth, when whatever it is that still pulls on you, that I forget. I'm like, I know that. What is it? What is it? I know it. I caught myself. I'm not going further. I need to come back. There's a magic word. And I'm like, what is it? So I'm walking that line of amnesia and awakening. That's how easy it is. But now it is embodied, that knowing, and kind of like this protective layer of, this is your truth, this is awakened, and from here on you're out, you're in the forgetfulness. So I catch myself at the edge, and when I'm like, what is it, okay, gratitude, that's right. And that just like a nice hand brings me back, and all of a sudden I remember everything and I become humble. This is where the surrender from strength, and then in alignment again.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, it's so beautiful, just the way that you described it. Okay. I posted, for those who are also following the social media, I posted there a post just recently that there are certain programs that are really exclusive for a specific group of people, who I'm not gonna even potentially post those on social media. That seems to be an instruction right now. I will still post some of the other programs, but there is certain information that is kind of really specific and for specific people, for those who are really ready to dive deep in about the deeper quantum architecture and on how to really embody and what is really on the table here. Because when we expand our awareness with that spiritual knowledge, it actually helps us to look into the future, as we spoke, see what is actually on the table, see what is possible, and that helps to expand our consciousness beyond the limitations of the mind. So there's certain programs coming this year and potentially already like with the next 2 weeks. So if you're interested, I highly recommend hopping on the newsletter, because I'm just like kind of pulling away from social media a little bit and honing in the group of people and community through the newsletter. And I only send a newsletter like twice a month or something, sometimes 3 times, sometimes just once. So I'm not somebody who's spamming others with emails, and you can always unsubscribe if it's something that it's not actually serving you. So newsletter, I'll put also the link down there if you're interested in learning about those experiences and or programs. And we'll put Melinda's program there as well. And thank you so much, everyone who's listening. This means a lot to us, and we continue to receive good feedback about this, that this is actually helpful. If this is helpful for you, just type "this is helpful" or something else, right? It's nice for us to know, not that we need that feedback necessarily, because we are here guided from that inner space. We know that whatever needs to be said is said. And I thank Divine Truth and God for facilitating this space for us. We couldn't really bring this through this way in all dimensions, like this eternal truth is bringing it forth. And but it is nice to know what things are helpful, so we can also really focus on those things and kind of see who's the audience here and what the container is about. Okay, so thank you for being part of it, and we'll see you next time. Thank you, Melinda.
Thank you. See you next time.
Bye.